corner, right up front.
This is for Bobby. Obviously, there are a number of teams with multiple picks, but I mean, Brooklyn, with their sheer volume of picks, how likely do you think it is that they'll be able to use those combined with being the only team that can actually park salaries to kind of weaponize those as a combination and move up or move around in the first round, maybe second lottery picks, something along those lines?
Yeah, I mean, I call what Brooklyn has is the bingo board, right? 8, 19, 26, 27, pick a number, right? And then 36 in the second round, I believe. So they, and then whatever, all the future picks that they have, certainly from New York, and there's still some little bit of stuff left from the Durant trade also, and there's a Philly pick in there too, and then seconds there. They have the optionality as far as how. I think it's just a matter of how much can you move up in the they're at 8 right now. We've talked about it. I think there's 3 different tiers in the top 8 or 9. Where Cooper is, and then maybe where Dylan Harper is, and then I think there's a group of 5 or 6 players in that tier 3. And I think it's a matter of what you like, who you think fits. I would be stunned if Brooklyn walked away tomorrow night with all 4 first. I think that gives you whether it be a team that maybe doesn't have a first and wants to get in, and maybe you can pick up something in the future here. But I've said all along, I said Brooklyn controls the offseason just because of the sheer volume of draft picks going into Wednesday night, and then really one of the few teams that have the salary cap space to go out and sign free agents or take back contracts, however they want to go about reshaping their roster.
Let's head to the second to last row. Just wait for the microphone here, then we'll head to the last row and then back over this section.
Question for Jay. You had the chance to work a lot of NBA games this year. Just kind of wondering how that maybe informed your coverage for this year's draft, just getting out to a lot of games, seeing a little more up closely how teams are playing. It's obviously a very different game in the NBA than spacing, how big guys fit into that and that sort of thing. Is it really advantageous for you to get some more NBA games this year to kind of see what teams are maybe looking at in this year's draft and the type of players that will fit better in the league?
No, I've been a consumer of the NBA since I was a little kid, so there's rarely a time where the NBA's on when I'm not watching it. Being courtside was just more fun for me. The hotels are way better. But it was a blast. But yeah, I mean, I think being around basketball in any form helps, always helps inform. But, after watching these players since they were in high school, I'm not sure it changed anything. I mean, every team is out to get the best available player. So, I don't think my evaluation of players changed all that much.
One row behind.
Tom Harris, NBC San Antonio WAI-TV. This is for Jay and for Bobby. Can you give us your evaluations of Dylan Harper and how he fits in on the Spurs team with Victor Wembanyama, more specifically, already having Steph Castle at the year 5?
Well, in my view, the Spurs need shooting, and they could use another big guy to go alongside Victor Wembanyama to take a little pressure off of him. Dylan Harper is, in my view, the second best prospect in this draft, and I think he's a clear choice after Cooper Flagg for the Spurs, and I believe that's what's going to happen. Now, if they were to make a trade, whoever were to trade for that, they're taking Dylan Harper. He's got his length is crazy, and that I don't think you can undervalue how important length and athleticism are in the NBA. But he's a long-arm guard that's so good in pick-and-roll situations and getting into the lane and creating for himself. He's strong, and he really has a great court sense. I happen to feel he's going to have a great NBA career as long as he stays healthy. So for me, the fit isn't as important. I think he'll fit great with what they do. But I think if they were looking to, sitting here like I'm the GM of San Antonio, if they were going to do something, I wouldn't do it with that. I would take Dylan Harper, and if you want to make a move, you do it with somebody else.
Yeah, I think that's the beauty of why the NBA draft is probably a little bit different than the NFL draft. I think if it's almost like if San Antonio was an NFL team and they already had 2 pretty good quarterbacks, would you draft the 3rd? And I think that's different than how we go through this process here, where if you're picking at 2 and you feel like he's the best prospect, and you already have De'Aaron Fox and Stephon Castle, you still do it. And then you just basically go out and figure it out. I mean, I think for me, just as a person with Dylan and having spent some time with him, just off the court, I mean, besides on the court, the off the court, if I was in a team and an executive, what sticks out for me is the loyalty factor that he had at Rutgers this year, where it was not an ideal situation. Him and Ace went to these two guys that are heralded going there. They barely made the Big Ten tournament. The team struggled. He had some injuries. He was sick during the year. The ability to basically stay with it. We all read the mock drafts during the year. We penciled him in as a top 3 pick. I think it would have been easy for him to bail out, which he did not. I think there's the other, besides the on-court, there's the intangible factor as far as being a good teammate, right? As far as being there for your teammates and everything.
We've got on the right side here, we'll start on the end and then go out to you and then to you. And I think if this NBA postseason showed us anything, it's the role allocation, depth, being a weapon in a certain place never meant more.
Well, yeah, and I think that what Bobby was speaking on goes to character. I mean, you want talent, but you want talent with character. And Oklahoma City and Indiana, I mean, so many teams show that. That's a huge factor, I think, for Oklahoma City and Sam Presti is they want high character, and it shows out on the floor.
Sit right here.
Hey, Eddie Sefko, Mavs.com. I'm wondering what you guys think is a reasonable expectation for Cooper Flagg, and where would you play him?
Anywhere you can. Like he's kind of like a queen on a chessboard for you because he can guard multiple positions. He's super athletic. He's long. He's got a really good second jump. He's got a great court awareness. I mean, the thing that impressed me most about Cooper was he's not a player that goes into a game thinking, well, I'm going to get 25. What he does is he tries to make the right play right now. And by stacking the right play over and over again, at the end of the game, he may have 25, 12 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals, and 3 blocks, something like that. He's a team guy, even though he's got the ego of a great player. So I think he can play. And reasonable expectations, I don't know why you have to be reasonable. Why does the sky have to be the limit? There's stuff beyond the sky. But he's willing to learn, too. I mean, he understands he's only 18 years old, but the way he performed with the USA Select team against the Olympic team last summer was pretty impressive. I think all the NBA players came away going, this guy's legit. So he's got credibility right away.
Right here on the end. And then down to you.
Kelly Wright with the Brooklyn Nets. In terms of draft depth, how does this class compare to those in recent history? And then do you have any sleeper guys who kind of are projected later on that you think could still make a real impact?
I happen to think it's pretty deep draft. Once you get past, sort of 8 or 9, there's a lot of disagreement, reasonable disagreement. Well, I like this better, I like that better. There's a lot of things to like about these players, but how many times over the years have we had players drafted outside the lottery that turned into all-stars or truly great players? And that's sort of the humility of this process is you don't know. You just have beliefs and try to gather as much intelligence as you can. But to your question about, there are a bunch of players I like. I mean, I like Derik Queen of Maryland. I think one player that I think is going to be really interesting where he goes is Colin Murray-Boyles of South Carolina. There are a lot of lefties in this draft, and he's one. This is like the left-hander draft, but he's a lefty, and he could, his court awareness defensively is really impressive. And he played on a team that did not perform at the level that many expected. I said during the season I thought South Carolina was the best last-place team I'd ever seen in college basketball. But he never mailed it in. He played hard all the time, and his versatility is he's going to need to shoot it from the perimeter better going forward. But I really like him.
Yeah, I do think in the top 10, I think it is a little bit guard heavy. Certainly when you get past Cooper at 1 there. I think when we get outside of the lottery, I think that's what kind of separates who has really good scouting departments. two players for me. I mentioned earlier Asa Newell. I just love his length, and I love his competitiveness. And then the other player is Nick Clifford from Colorado State. Probably the thing that's probably holding him back is his age. He's 24. Sometimes teams kind of overanalyze that process. But what I like about him is that here's a player that declared for the draft last year. He started at Colorado, went to Colorado State. He declared for the draft last year. And I said to him, what did scouts tell you that you need to get better at? And he's like, I need to be better, ball handler, distributor. His assists went up to, I think, 4.5, but he's a 6'6" wing who can rebound the heck out of the ball. I mean, he averaged almost 10 rebounds per game, and he's a position of need. If you're a 6'6" wing, you can kind of throw him in, and he does have the experience factor.
And another guy that is not getting slept on by the country, but it's always interesting to see in terms of range and where they land right now, seeing him around 17 to 21, 22, is a national champion in Walter Clayton, who took the NCAA tournament by storm, was an absolute bucket, but also just so poised. And I think that's what was interesting. Then we'll get to our next question, was what you just said about age. What do you make of the age question when people say, well, these 22, 23, I want the 18 or 19-year-old?
Well, I mean, it makes sense because when you're seeing some of these players at 18 or 19, you're projecting them out of what they're going to be. So I don't look at 18 or 19-year-olds and compare them against finished products. Compare them against the finished product when they were 18 or 19 to see what the trajectory may be. But, I've been showing my age here, but when I was in college, when players didn't come out early, when you were 22 years old and drafted, you were a dumb rookie that had a lot to learn and a lot of potential. And now you're looked at more, not by everybody, but sometimes more as a finished product. But your point about Walter Clayton Jr., his size may limit where he gets drafted, but he came out of high school and was undervalued. He was a great football player. He was recruited by Florida as a football player. Wound up going to Iona and playing for Rick Pitino there, and he was MAC Player of the Year, and then transferred to Florida, where I think he originally wanted to go, but they didn't really recruit him. And he's older, but he's experienced, and he's NBA ready right now. The only thing that would hold him back is his size. But he's just a tremendous competitor. What a shot maker.
Yeah, let's get to our next question here. One row up.
Hey guys, Davey from WGME in Portland, Maine. Jay, I had a chance to talk to you last summer at the Drive for Kids golf tournament, and before Cooper even stepped on the floor at Cameron, you thought back then that he had a very good chance to be the first overall pick in the draft. How have you seen his growth from then to now? And just talk about his motor, which is off the charts, and how he'll fit in Dallas.
Yeah, projecting him as the #1 pick a year ago doesn't make anybody Nostradamus. It was pretty clear. I was just up in Maine for that Drive for Kids tournament, and I think they should rename that 3-putt for kids, because that's what I did on too many of the holes. But when you're going around Portland, Maine, I can't tell you how many times I was stopped for people to ask about Cooper. Like, he's bigger than Taylor Swift there. It's amazing. But going back to the competitive piece, like his maturity level at 18 is kind of hard for me to process. That he takes advantage of every opportunity that's in front of him, and I don't think I've seen an 18-year-old player that stays where his feet are more than he does. There may be others, but he really does take advantage of every practice, every meeting, every opportunity, and he's not thinking. It doesn't seem like he's thinking beyond what he has to do today, and he just kind of like we were saying about stacking plays. He stacks days, and that's pretty impressive for anyone, but for somebody of his age. So I don't doubt if he stays healthy that he's going to do extraordinarily well. How great is he going to be? We can all debate that, but his floor is I don't know where the ceiling is. It's awfully high, but the floor is unbelievably high.
One of the things that the NBA does now during the spring and the summer is called Future Starts Now on their app, and they showcase the next wave of talent and Nike, EYBL, and beyond. And a couple years ago, I got called to do Peach Jam down there and showed up. I had not been to a Peach Jam ever before, and as you know, it's unbelievable. And sat down, and Chris Paul's in one corner, and Russ Westbrook's in the other corner, and LeBron is coaching Bryce. And a couple of local people sit down. They've been coming to Peach Jam for 30 some odd years. One of the guys says, "That's pretty cool. LeBron's here coaching his kid." And the two guys nudged him and said, "We're not here to watch that. We're here to watch Cooper Flagg." And he had 38 points, 16 rebounds, 12 blocks, and 10 assists. So and those two guys were right on. We'll go here to the third row, and then we'll